We are currently reconvening from closed session to open session at 6:46 PM. And were there any actions taken in closed session that needed to be reported out?
None.
None? Okay. Right now, we have an invocation led by trustee Carolyn Inman, followed by a pledge of allegiance led by trustee Terry Whit-Rydell. Please join me.
Tonight is a night of new beginnings. While we say goodbye to our friend Trustee Wright, we say hello and welcome to new campus leaders. We are in a time of transition, a period of change. My brother once said to me, "There's nothing sure except change." I had no idea what he was talking about until I got older and became a leader and realized that change is not only inevitable, but it opens up opportunities. It allows you to be the change you want to see in the world. Welcome to our new campus leaders, Gloria, Angelica, Daniel, Heidi, Melanie, Desiree, Michelle, Scott, and Bo. I had one of those positions at Mount Sac, and I absolutely know how hard these jobs are. The workload, the stress, the endless meetings scare off many potential leaders. So we genuinely appreciate and thank you for stepping up. It reminds me of the first song from my favorite musical, Hamilton. I'm not going to sing, don't worry.
I love Hamilton.
And I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. As leaders, each of us have a shot, an opportunity to contribute and help meaningful and positive change. A friend of mine and I were on a board, and people kept saying to us, "We want your input." One day she looked at them and she said, "I don't want to have input. I want to have influence." Leadership is not just a title. It's about influence, impact, and inspiration. Congratulations, and thank you for all the contributions you're going to make.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. And at this time, we're having board reports.
Public
About
comment.
what?
Public comment.
I thought public. Okay, at this time we have public comments. We have one request to address the board by Margot Lovett, president of the Academic Senate of Saddleback College, outgoing president. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, this year I am the president-elect and past president kind of combined. But thank you very much, President Milchiker.
Thank you.
I would just like to make a few comments. I would really like to offer my sincere thanks to Chancellor Burke for reinstating the mask mandate for all indoor spaces. It's clear that this decision makes it clear that she is dedicated to protecting the health of our students, administrators, faculty, and classified professionals, and for that we are profoundly thankful. And I would also like to thank the board for recognizing that and for giving the chancellor the authority to act quickly when needed. When numbers of local COVID cases and hospitalizations rise, it is imperative to act immediately to prevent the further spread of this disease. Waiting to make that decision would unnecessarily risk the health of all members of our college and district community. So again, I would like to thank you all for caring about the welfare of us and our students. It is very much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, President Lovett. Now we're going to board reports, followed by some time to honor Trustee James Wright, which this is his last meeting. But first, we'll do board reports. So Trustee Wright, would you like to be the first to do a board report, or do you want to not have all this work your last meeting? Okay.
Just a couple of things I wanted to say. I was honored to join so many members of the board on Thursday, May the 26th, for the Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College commencement ceremonies. Saddleback College morning celebration held in their new stadium, and 6,097 graduates. The evening ceremony at Irvine Valley College held on the Performing Arts lawn featured commencements speaker, IVC faculty and teacher of the year, as well as 2,094 graduates. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Wright. And Trustee Whit-Rydell, do you have a report today?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to commend the state for the historic investment in California's community college students. As stated by the CCLC, which means the Community College League of California, we are all pleased in the state's investment in 2023 budget agreement. I know we'll be talking about it, but the state will adopt the Cal Grant Reform Act, which should be sufficient funding if sufficient funding is available in 2024. This, finally, it shows the funding will address our students' true cost of attendance. Now, as we are going to talk about this tonight, we should also applaud the important investment in affordable housing with the $542 million allocated to California community colleges to fund 12 housing projects across the state. We should all be grateful to Governor Newsom and the legislative leadership for their recognition of the vital role in California's community colleges. Having housing at Saddleback and IVC is my passion. I also attended the CCLC trustee webinar. It was called Achieving Equity in California Community Colleges and the Critical Role of the Trustees. We discussed different districts' equity vision statement. Participants were all trustees. The trustees were very involved from these community colleges. Part 3 will be on June 30th, and anybody who's interested or my colleagues, just email me and I'll send you the link. I also attended Saddleback College's foundation meeting. Let me tell you what we're doing. We are busy planning our next gala, which is on Saturday, November 5th, Saturday, November 5th. Am I clear? At the Ritz-Carlton. We are continuing our partnership with the Division of Fine Arts and Media Technology to create a very special evening focused on the needs of our inspiring Saddleback students. We awarded over 300 scholarships at our scholarship ceremony last month and continue to seek additional support for our Student Success Fund that provides students immediate assistance with basic needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Whit-Rydell. Trustee Day, do you have a board report?
Okay. The Irvine Valley College Foundation, headed by Alyssa Oransky, and to which I am a Board of Trustees representative, has done a fabulous job in support of the students and programs at IVC. The 2021-2022 year was a record setter for the IVC Foundation in many ways. They raised a record amount of money at their gala, more than $182,000, and they awarded more than $475,000 in scholarships, of which $50,000 is more than ever before. The IVC Foundation Board member, Dr. Stephen Rockford, sent an email to the Foundation Board that resonated with me and the other members. I would like to share some of the excerpts from his letter. He started by saying, "Do we collectively really appreciate how awesome it is that more than $180,000 was raised at the IVC Foundation dinner? Hiring Alyssa Oransky in 2015 was one of the best hirings made in the college history." He then supported this message by stating that Alyssa and her staff lead the way in completely changing the focus, energy, and belief in the possibility of the IVC Foundation, bringing together previously separated campus groups to work together to create our current foundation, reaching out to former donors and employees who have not been involved in years and was successful in getting them re-engaged, significantly increasing the number of endowments held by the foundation. The endowment balance was approximately $750,000 when she came on board in 2015. 7 years later, it is nearly $2 million, and much more. Most importantly, the entire college community believes in and supports the foundation. What a terrific endorsement Dr. Rockford gave the foundation's work. I am honored to represent the South Orange County Community College District Board of Trustees in this effort, and I'm extremely proud of the work this foundation has accomplished. Alyssa and her team are currently busy planning a place and a wonderful new year and for the next year's celebrating excellence, and we will support their work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Trustee Inman. Thank you, Trustee Jay.
You've already heard from me already tonight, so I'll make it short. I was so amazed, just like the rest of you, with the commencements. They were so creative. One of my favorite things I have ever seen in my life was the combination of music and speaking at the Saddleback. As an ex-forensics coach and speech teacher and all that sort of thing, it was really, really effective. It's interesting to be behind the, sitting behind them, but it was just as effective. And the gala was wonderful. We had a little reunion with some Mount Sac people that were there, and that was just like the frosting on the top of the cake, even made it better. But I'm so excited about how the community supports us. And you can see that in the galas, the scholarships, and it was a really wonderful end of the year. And now we're having a little respite as we get ready to move into the new year. Thank you.
I agree, Trustee Inman. And I have to say, I feel fortunate to have been able to attend every commencement at both colleges since 1985. I just love our commencements. The commencements are a culmination of our efforts for the success of our students. And these commencements were perfect. It was wonderful to be back in person with students and staff. And commencements are a reward to trustees, professors, administrators, staff, and students for a job well done. And I thank all of you, all of the staff and all of the administrators and professors that did such a good job in helping our students succeed. And I thank all of you for making all the difference in our students' lives. The Saddleback's commencement started at 8 a.m. We shook hands with over 6,000 graduates in person at our gorgeous new stadium with the Saddleback Mountain exquisite vista in the background. Then the commencement at Irvine Valley College started at 3:30. We shook hands with almost 3,000 graduates. It was quite a bit cooler as we transitioned into the twilight on the beautiful Irvine Valley College campus. Much more about the commencements in both of our administrators, all three of our administrators' written board reports. And in their reports, they have hot links to the photos and videos for the fabulous end of the year, academic year celebrations where all of us were so very busy in May. And the photos are there. You can check them out. At the Saddleback College classified luncheon, they had delicious tacos, and our students deserve a good lunch. Our staff deserves a good lunch after all the work that they have done, keeping our colleges going during our worldwide pandemic. And I thank President Scott Ferguson Green for arranging this luncheon for our classified staff. And then I had lunch with a woman who purchased lunch with the president of the board at last year's IVC Gala. Our staff set up lunch at the Lazy Dog Restaurant in Irvine, and it was quite interesting because this is a restaurant for dogs and people, and they even have a dog menu, so it was fascinating. And that's my board report for today. So I think all of the boards have given their board reports, and our next item is item 4.2, Trustee Jim Wright retiring, and I just have a few words to say about Trustee Wright. I recall when Trustee Wright applied to serve out the term of a trustee who passed away in the middle of his term of office. When I read Trustee Jim Wright's resume, I was so impressed by the depth and the breadth of his experience. Jim was the right choice to select to be the trustee for our district. I voted for him, he was elected, and he has never disappointed me, ever. Trustee Wright served 14 years as the Dean of Math, Science, and Engineering at Saddleback College, where he was voted Administrator of the Year 3 times. Prior to this, he taught chemistry at Saddleback College. Jim also served as a colonel in the Air Force for 27 years and served as a commander of the Air Force Academy Preparatory School. He taught chemistry at the Air Force Academy and directed the McClellan Air Force Base Central Laboratory and was an engineer at the Waste Chemical Floor Daniel facility. Dr. Wright earned his BS, MS, and PhD from the University of Idaho in chemistry. More importantly to me, Trustee Wright was always impeccably ethical and completely honest. He never wavered from doing the right thing, and that was always the right thing for our students. I often sought out his sage counsel when we had to make difficult decisions. We all wish Trustee Wright well in his retirement and are delighted knowing that he and his wife and best friend, Janice, will have time now enjoying spending time with all of your children and grandchildren. So please keep in touch. Thank you, Trustee Wright. And Trustee Inman has something also.
Marcia could probably look at this and know exactly when the first half happened. I don't know about the first half. I hope we put it in the right order. But here's a photo book, and we want you to enjoy, and there's room in the back with other pictures that people might give you or that you might have. But we all really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Wow.
So, yeah, thank you. It is wonderful. Trustee Inman put it together, so it's beautiful. I want some of those pictures.
We all want some.
So, and I want to also introduce Janice, who's the better half, sorry. Janice Wright. Yeah. I was just joking when I said better half. Okay. So, you're the same? Okay, that's great. So now, do you want to say something, or anybody else want to say something, or nobody's prepared? Do you want to just, would you like to say something, or do you want to just have a reception?
I just thank you for all these good comments. I mean, I did. I mean, I was in the Air Force for 47 years, 27 years. And then I came here, and then was here for a long time too, so,
So many years.
This is your third career, right?
yes.
Well, Jim, I just want to say thank you. We go back way, way, way back.
Yes, we do.
And your leadership, I learned a lot. I appreciated that year of mentorship. And I just want to tell everybody, I did not know half of his life, but when he was sick, I went over to visit him and we started talking. You have no idea of this man's security clearance. You have no idea. At least I didn't have. And then I asked him to explain it, and I was more impressed. And it's not just the being impressed, it's knowing that he had that kind of responsibility for our nation. And I'm very appreciative. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
everything.
Okay, so now we can have a short, I'm not sure how long.
Recess to the foyer.
Recess to the
Yes.
foyer where there's delicious-looking cupcakes and.
Make a
and-
motion.
What? Oh, I will make a motion to have a recess
I
to the
second.
foyer. Do you need to have a roll call, or would you do it
Roll call.
both? Okay.
Vote, where do we vote?
It'll come up.
Do I have to put on the voting screen.
It's not coming up. Poor Kristen.
Did-
SOS to the IT guy.
Nothing's coming up.
And nothing's coming up.
How about roll call?
I don't think we need to vote on it.
Do you think we need to vote on it? You don't think we need to vote on it?
There we go.
It came up.
It came up.
Oh, there it is. Okay, the motion is the Board of Trustees will take a 10-minute recess to recognize trustees' many years of service to the district.
Okay. Oh.
Aye. Or should just call everybody.
Oh, okay, so the vote is 5 yes, 0 no. So it passes, 5 yes, 0 no. Thank you. So I'll have some cupcakes, okay? Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you for Trustee Wright for providing those wonderful cupcakes. They were delicious. Thank you. Thank you. And we're going back to the board reports right now. And the next board report will be the Associated Student Government reports. Gloria Lee from Saddleback, or Angelica Bustos from IVC, or Jahan Khan, the Vice President of External Affairs, is substituting for Angelica. Is that you? Okay, wonderful.
Hello, I'm Jahan Khan, VP of External Affairs for the next academic year. I'm here to report on behalf of Irvine Valley College. Just because this is a summer session does not mean that ASIVC is not fully committing to DEIA. So we are focusing on sustainability as well as just DEIA in general, as well as disability rights. We met with Larry Agrin and his constituents over the summer. And we talked about sustainability within ASIVC as well as in this district, how we can provide more support for public transportation, as well as disability rights and LGBTQ+ rights. We've also contacted Katie Porter's office for disability rights given Pion v. LACCD from last year. The new executives, as well as members of the Senate for ASIVC, are taking a hands-on approach to reallocating for the budget to provide more diverse opportunities for our students. And we are scheduling a retreat for the executives as well as the members of the Senate to teach them more about leadership. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds like your students are doing a wonderful job. And it was our students that set up the free bus passes for students, so that was great. So thank you. Next, Irvine Valley College Academic Senate, Dan DeRelay. Do you have a report?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, trustees, and good evening, Chancellor Burke and soon-to-be Chancellor Barnes. And thank you, Trustee Wright, for your years of distinguished service to our colleges and to our district. I want to speak briefly tonight regarding the IVC Academic Senate's thoughts in two areas as we step back this summer to assess the recently completed academic year and prepare for 2022-23. So far this summer, our classrooms have been a strange combination of a return to normalcy and a clear reminder of where we have been and still are. Using my own School of Humanities as partial and imperfect evidence, our summer general education courses in writing are enjoying full enrollment. My own writing students are engaged and obviously glad to be back in the classroom. And yet, as I look around the room each Monday and Wednesday afternoon, I am reminded of the new normal. All of my students, without complaint, are wearing masks. Many have written in their journals of struggles they experienced adjusting to an online learning world during the recently completed academic year, or of spending their first year of college without actually meeting other students in person. My sense of the class's attitude concerning COVID is hoping for the best, but being prepared for the unknown that lies ahead this fall and this coming winter. On this topic, I must also tell the trustees and the chancellor that the great majority of our writing classes this summer at least remain online. And that even as we return to a more traditional schedule for our classes in the fall, currently about 56% of our fully enrolled fall semester writing classes are in person and 44% are online, something we've never seen before in a, quote, normal semester. So although this is just information from my department, what both the university what both the uncertainties of COVID and over 2/5 of our students selecting online writing general education courses in the fall tells us is that we cannot afford to let our college's efforts to constantly improve online education in a highly competitive market wane. Also in our thoughts this summer is the success of our students who continuously struggle to reach their educational goals and for whom COVID's effects have been disproportionately high. Our internal research and that of other colleges in California tells us that students whose families lack experience in college, students from some historically underrepresented groups, and students who experience financial difficulties, that is, the very students at the center of our educational mission as a community college, do not enjoy the same success rates as other students, despite some hopeful gains in closing those achievement gaps. This also then calls for a continued determined effort to make IVC classrooms supportive and effective academic environments for these groups, remembering that especially in times of economic and cultural stresses, these students need our focused help to be thriving members of our community. And so I look forward to reporting to the board and the chancellor briefly at our July meeting of the detailed and continuing faculty work in these areas and of our plans for our August Professional Development Week. In the meantime, I wish you all the best for a productive and a healthy and a restful summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor DeRelay, very thoughtful comments. Next, the Saddleback College Academic Senate, Heidi Ochoa.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for inviting me and welcoming me to this space. My name is Heidi Ochoa. I'm the Academic Senate President at Saddleback College. I've worked here since 2006 as an adjunct, and I started full-time in 2009, which has led me to a very joyful career. And I am so grateful to sit with you today and serve in this position because I know that people like you have created a space for me as a faculty member and a space for me as a student. I went to Orange Coast College. I am a community college student, so I have that lived experience, and I really appreciate the pathways that everyone in this room has built for me and for my students. Under the leadership of Academic Senate President Margot Lovett, last year, our Academic Senate executive team created 4 equity-focused goals that really focused on how it is that we are going to increase our equity efforts related to professional development, to curriculum, and to hiring. We've made some movement in these areas, and we anticipate that we're going to continue to make movement in these areas as well. Also, at the Leadership Institute that most of us attended 2 weeks ago, we learned the power of integrating the student voices into our committee work. So I anticipate over the next year that we're really going to try to identify gaps where we can get student voices into our rooms. Those of you who know me really well also know that I am a disability advocate both on and off campus, and so I anticipate for us to have more conversations about how it is that we can create a safer space for disabled students. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with and learning from you.
Thank you, Professor Cho. Welcome. And the next, Faculty Association President Melanie Hyeri, and welcome also.
Thank you. Good evening, President Milchiker, Chancellor Burke, board members, district, such a newbie, that was such a rookie error. Total rookie error. Oh. I'm gonna start again. Good evening, President Milchiker, Chancellor Burke, board members, district administrators, and faculty. Tonight is my first board meeting, obviously. As the president of the Faculty Association, I am honored and humbled to serve for the next 2 years. I've been an educator since 1990. I taught 6th grade, I taught part-time in our district, and since 2008, full-time at IVC. I'm also a proud product of this district, graduating and transferring to UCI in 1987. I am a lifetime educator and student and bring my passion for education and pride in educators to this position. I look forward to working with all of you. I want to thank Louis Long, he's not here, and I know he's missed, and the other FA exec members for their mentorship and for their confidence and invaluable support that I know they'll give me for the next 2 years. Thank you, Louis. I have high standards to live up to, and I look forward to the challenge. This new year for the district brings us new members and some farewells. On behalf of the faculty, I would like to thank Dr. Jim Wright. Thank you for your dedicated service to our district. Thank you for working with the faculty as a dean and for your years of service on the board. In addition, on behalf of the faculty, thank you, Dr. Burke, for your service to our district during a most challenging tenure. We wish you the very best, and we're grateful for all your time and your service. And for a welcome, on behalf of the faculty, I would like to welcome Dr. Barnes as our new chancellor. Dr. Barnes, welcome to the SOCCCD family. You've joined a district filled with dedicated educators, administrators, board members, staff, and amazing students. We wish you a smooth transition and look forward to working with you. I would also like to thank Dr. Viskachil and her team for the successful negotiations resulting in a tentative agreement on Articles 15 and 17, incorporating meaningful, data-driven, and reliable student surveys into the faculty evaluation process. Thank you, Cindy. And then finally, on behalf of the Faculty Association, I would like to thank the district and the Board of Trustees for making the safety of our faculty, staff, and students at the center of their decision to return the mask mandate during these times where we had such a big uptick in infections. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hayeri, also. And now, and welcome. And now we have Irvine Valley College Classified Senate, Desiree Ortiz.
Oh, let me put this down. There we go. Good evening, President Milchiker, Chancellor Burke, trustees. Trustee Wright, thank you so much for your support, always with the Classified Senate. We appreciate it. Recently, we sent 8 representatives of our classified staff at IVC to the annual Classified Senate Leadership Institute that was sponsored by the Community College League of California earlier this month. IVC was honored to present on how to create and keep a caring campus culture. We also were asked to serve on a panel with the Institute of Evidence-Based Change on how to keep the caring campus culture alive. We were honored and excited to win a Spirit Award, which we have tried to win the past 4 years. And what this award is schools throughout California, our community colleges, they bring the best of their campus. They bring their mascots. And you know, IVC, we're lasers. But this year, we were asked to participate and show up because we brought our caring campus with us. It was so amazing, the cheers that we received. IVC, IVC. And we were proud to win it. So if you ever want to come see it, it's in the library. And we get to create a stamp and we leave it on the stick and we pass it on next year to the next community college who brings their spirit with them. So we were very excited. We performed a skit that may be on YouTube, but you could go check that out. Also today, we ended with our last Classified Senate meeting where we honored those who served from 2019 till now, being that we weren't able to meet together. And we had lunch and it was just amazing. Thank you all for your support always, and we'll see you back in the fall.
Thank you. Thank you. I love Caring Campus. It's wonderful. Next, the California School Employees Association, Scott Ferguson Green.
Thank you, President Milchiker. Trustee Inman, thank you very much for recognizing the leaders of our governance groups. We very much appreciate it. President Milchiker, thank you for showing support and being present for our California School Employees Week luncheon. The luncheon was very successful. It was something that was a hit, where I've received emails and phone calls about how wonderful it was. But I also received feedback from my constituents who were very appreciative, President Milchiker, that you were willing to have conversations and asking people how they were doing in their departments and their division. And that means a lot to our classified professionals. So thank you very much. I wish to also welcome Academic President Heidi Ochoa and Faculty Association President Melanie Harry, and I'm looking forward to working with both of you. I also wanted to welcome our incoming Chancellor, Dr. Juliana Barnes, and it was nice seeing you again, and I'm looking forward to when we will have discussions. The one thing that is very appreciative is the fact that our classified professionals feel that all the board members of the Board of Trustees are approachable and that they're able to have conversations, and that we have a Board of Trustees that do care and support the classified professionals. Dr. Wright, I just wanted to basically, on a personal note, tell you how much I've appreciated you. I've known you since you were a dean, and you always were very kind to me. I remember one night when we actually went to a vaudeville show that was in McKinney Theater, and you introduced me to your lovely wife, and even before I had a chance to introduce my companion, you asked who she was, and she just thought you were just, so wonderful and such a gentleman to do so. And I do always will believe that you, sir, are very much a gentleman and a man of class. And if I ever pass you on the street wearing a hat, I will always tip my hat to you, sir. So thank you very much.
Very nice.
Chancellor Burke, I appreciate everything that you have done in your tenure. You've always been approachable. You've always supported the classified staff and the professionals, and I've really enjoyed my conversations with you. And I know that hopefully we'll get another chance to wish you well in your retirement when that time comes. But I just wanted you to know that we really appreciate you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, so those are good words, thank you. Right now, we're on item number 5.1, public hearing, the public hearing. And so we are now on board item 5.1 regarding a public hearing for the initial proposal on the mutually agreed reopener for Article 7, hours and overtime by the district and the SOCCCD California School Employees Association. Before we hold the public hearing, Vice Chancellor Cindy Viscachill will provide an introduction.
Thank you, President Milchiker. The board will conduct a public hearing to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on the mutually agreed reopener between the district and the California Schools Employees Association. If the board has any questions throughout this public hearing process, I'm here to assist.
Does the board have any questions for staff to assist them with the understanding of this matter? I don't see any questions right now. Board item 5.1, the public hearing on the matter of hand is now open. Public comments are not to exceed 2 minutes. So any member of the public can comment now if they would like to. I don't see anybody. The public hearing is, are there anybody out there that wants to speak? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any further discussion on this matter by the Board of Trustees? Item 5.1 is concluded. We will now move to item 5.2, adoption of initial proposal on the mutually agreed upon reopener for Article 7, hours of overtime by the district and the SOCCCD, California School Employees Association. And so I call for a motion on this item and a second.
So moved.
So trustee Jay makes the motion. Does somebody else make a second?
Second.
And trustee Inman makes a second. And we can now vote on this item.
Okay, now how do I, okay, voting screen.
Oh, this came up quickly.
Where does it,
No?
there it is. Okay.
Okay,
I
the
can do this,
motion,
right?
the motion was made by trustee Jay, seconded by trustee Inman, and we're waiting for the results. And it was unanimous, 5 yes, 0 no, and two the trustees absent. So, this is approval for the initial proposal on mutually agreed reopener between the district and CSEA for Article 7. Okay, thank you. And there's no resolutions today, so we move on to item 7.0. But right now, I would like to move item 11.2, the employment agreement for Dr. Juliana Barnes, to be moved up. And so I just want to thank President Juliana Barnes, Dr. Juliana Barnes, for coming all the way up from San Diego to meet with us today. And I have some other notes here. Wait a second, so I have, so, we're about to vote on we're now voting on the contract of our next chancellor, Dr. Juliana Barnes. She was selected in a nationwide search to lead our district into the future. We are so excited that she will be joining us. She was the unanimous decision of the Board of Trustees and was forwarded with 100% support by our selection committee. We thank her for taking the time to drive up from Cuyamaca College in San Diego, where she is the president, to be with us now. And we sincerely thank Chancellor Kathleen Burke for guiding our colleges so successfully through our worldwide pandemic and through these last years. We will be eternally grateful to her, and we wish her very well in her retirement. So thank you. So now, Vice Chancellor Viscacho?
Thank you. In adherence with our compliance with the law, I do have a readout on this item before the board votes.
Okay, sounds good.
This is a contract for the position of Chancellor, Dr. Juliana Barnes. The contract dates are August 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2025, with an annual salary of $340,000. Thank you.
Thank you. So are there any questions or comments?
I have a comment, but do
Okay,
you
go
want to
ahead.
do a motion a second first?
Yeah, let's do a motion. So trustee Inman makes a motion and
I
trustee
second
Jay
it.
seconds it? Okay, great, excellent.
So I have a comment on behalf of trustee Prendergast, who could not be here this evening, and he would like to share the following message. I am pleased to join the board in welcoming Dr. Juliana Aspadine Barnes to the South Orange County Community College District. We are a diverse district full of talented students, staff, and faculty. I am confident that Dr. Barnes will enjoy working in SOCCCD and will continue to lead with a strong vision for impactful initiatives and programs that the district has benefited from the last several years under current leadership. Again, welcome to SOCCCD.
Thank you. So, so we have a motion and a second, so now we can vote on it?
Yeah, if we get the voting screen now. Uh-huh. Okay.
There it goes.
It didn't read. Go ahead, do it again.
So the motion was made by trustee Inman, seconded by trustee Jay. And it was unanimous with 2 trustees absent. So we welcome Dr. Juliana Barnes. Thank you. And we thank our chancellor for all of her service for our district all these years too, so thank you. Chancellor Burke, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. And now, now we move on to 7.1, trustee requests for attending conferences. So these are just some conferences that are coming up. I'm not sure if any trustees will attend them, but they're on the motion. Is there a motion and a second?
There was none. Nobody was attending.
Probably nobody's will attend these
But we
conferences.
still have to approve them in case
Okay.
anybody decides they want to go.
Yeah, our board doesn't travel much, but we may in the future. Okay, So is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Trustee Jay makes the motion,
Second.
and trustee Inman seconds it. So now we can vote on it. My screen just went black.
Oh, there it is.
I can't vote. Is there some ransomware out there?
Oh, this,
Yeah,
okay, can I see the mouse?
yeah. Oh, there, it just came back now, okay.
Yeah, it was minimized somehow.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you.
The challenge.
Okay, so it's unanimous with trustee Jay making the motion, trustee Inman seconding it, and 2 trustees absent. So it passes. And we're moving on to item 7.2. The Board of Trustees Audit Subcommittee. Trustee Jim Wright is retiring, and the 2 other people on the subcommittee are trustee Jamal and trustee Prendergast. So we need to appoint a 3rd person to the subcommittee. So is there anybody that would like to be? Okay, trustee Inman, you'd like to be on the subcommittee? Okay, so, is there anybody else that wants to be on the audit committee?
Supposedly only 3?
It's only 3 people, yeah. Yeah, I've been on the audit committee for years, it's interesting, but trustee Inman wants to do it, so, good, okay. So, I make a motion to nominate trustee Inman to be the 3rd person.
I
So-
second it.
Okay, so I think trustee Rydell said it first, so seconds it, so now we can vote on trustee Inman being the 3rd person on the audit subcommittee. Okay, so it's unanimous, so congratulations, trustee Inman, you're the 3rd person on the subcommittee. So that's great, thank you. It passes with 2 trustees being absent. And the next one is item 7.4, the board policy revision. And there's only one board policy for approval, and this is the
7.3.
Oh, 7.3, okay. Okay. Yeah, this is the one, 7.3, I had, okay. It's the board policy 5150, Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, EOPS. So, is there any discussion about this? We've already discussed it, this is for approval, so. Okay,
So moved.
Trustee Wright made the motion, who said second? Trustee Inman seconds it, okay, now we can vote on it. Okay. So it's a motion by trustee Wright and second by trustee Inman. It hasn't come up yet. Oh, trustee Wright, I think you have to vote?
I voted.
Oh, he says he voted.
Yes.
He says he voted, so. I think Samira's going to try to help you to see. But I'm sure you voted, because you said you did. There it goes, there, it came up, there, and it came up, okay, great, so you were right, you did vote. So it's 5-0-0, and it passes, okay? Okay, thank you, and the next one is, board policy, this is there's two board policies for review and study, BP 4050, articulation of course programs, and BP 5500, standards of student conduct. Are there any questions? No, okay, is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Trustee Jay makes a motion.
I have a question.
Okay, trustee Whit-Riddell has a question.
Yes, I just wanted to ask the chancellor, you changed the words from procedure to regulations, and the other ones I understand. Why was that?
Because these are called regulations. They're administrative regulations. So we've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years, changing everywhere where it said
We
procedure.
always called it that? Okay,
Yes.
all right. I was used to procedure.
Okay, so these are for review and study. So we can move next to the student housing presentation. What? Okay, so do we have a motion and a second?
We did.
Yeah, okay, so now we can vote on it.
You can use this or the arrows.
And this is unanimously voted 5-0-0 in favor of these board policies for review and study. And next, we have 8.1, student housing presentation, market and demand analysis. We're going to have 3 successive presentations on this. And this first one is going to be on marketing and demand analysis, and the one next month will be on the fiscal situation of financial challenges and what it would cost. So, is that Medhani? Do you want to?
I think
Oh,
Chancellor Gable is going to start.
Vice Chancellor Gable, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you. So I would like to introduce both Mr. Medhani Ephraim, our Executive Director of Facilities Planning for the district, as well as Chelsea Medavire with the Scion Group, who will be giving us the presentation. And Chelsea will really be going over the survey results that was conducted over the summer, well, not really over the summer, a few months ago with the students. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you.
Great. I think Anne-Marie just blew my thunder there, so I'll hand it over to Chelsea. But again, I just want to remind the board, we did present to the board in December and to talk about the overall feasibility plan. And today, essentially, we're going to be talking about the survey and what we've done to date and what we're going to be doing moving forward. So Chelsea.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to see you all again. Lots of familiar faces. We're happy to be here. So as Medhani said, I'm really going to walk through the process as well as survey results. So this first phase is really where we are to talk about this afternoon, or excuse me, this evening in the green chevron. It's a really engaged process that we've been through to complete this first component of the market study. So both from engaging college and district stakeholders, students, of course, campus visits, off-campus analyses, peer analyses, et cetera, really formulate the entirety of our market study. And then again, as mentioned at the very beginning, we'll come back next month and talk about that financial feasibility, that second phase at this point, all towards a go, no-go later. A critical component of our market study is establishing our strategic objectives. Each institution is unique in the students it serves, its priorities and its needs. And so we worked with both colleges at the very beginning to establish their respective strategic objectives that would guide the framework and the process moving forward. And truly guide it from every point from this initial market study to if moving through all the way to opening day, decisions that are being made at every point in between need to tie back to these strategic objectives. Do they achieve these goals here as stated above? And so each as outlaid for each respective college. We'll move into our initial key findings. So talking at a very high level about the California community colleges and what work is occurring at this point. So we've got about 12 colleges already that already have housing, and many who have had them for quite some time. OCC being the newest of those, Coast right down the road. Santa Rosa Junior College and Napa Valley College are looking to open in the next consecutive years. And both are using that public-private partnership to finance and deliver and manage those home housing projects. SB 169, recent California legislation, significant state funds to achieve increased affordability for California students as a whole, and especially some allocations for California community colleges. Overwhelmingly, so much application for the need, just demonstrative of the housing crisis here. And really at this point, we're in kind of a very fluid motion right now as legislation is being signed as we speak in terms of the allocation of those initial planning and construction grants. We know that the district applied for those planning grants for both colleges, and you can see that there, and we are awaiting that kind of next step. And with the expectation that the second of 3 application rounds will occur in the fall. Diving really deep into our survey respondents, we had an incredible overall response rate, excellent response rate. Many thanks to a lot of the folks that are here in this conversation. The response rates overall, you can see the totals there. We like to provide this as the initial outlay because this survey data really informs a lot of the next steps and a lot of the data that you will see moving forward. A couple of key things to pull out, just understanding the breakdown of the full-time, part-time. Again, these are the respondents to the survey and some of the data that was collected as a result. And then you can see kind of the breakdown for those students who would be eligible for the SB 169 additional funding are broken down there in terms of the affordability component, are broken down in their respective kind of living off campus, their age range, et cetera, all of which contribute to our understanding of the student profile and overall demand. Unsurprisingly, affordability is key. We're not sharing anything truly groundbreaking from that perspective, but we always want to understand what are driving students' desires and decision-making factors, of course. Reliable internet and Wi-Fi, critical too. Kind of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs that shows, internet kind of as a foundation. And then, of course, safety and security and proximity to campus. We like to understand this too because it helps us know whether or not student housing can potentially address some of those key driving decision-making factors, and certainly within the reliable internet, safety, proximity, et cetera. And you can see the breakdown between family students and single students. Those single students are those individuals who responded to the survey and who are kind of indicated they would live on their own, whereas your family students are those that are living with a dependent or caregivers, kind of anybody that indicated that they have somebody else for whom they are responsible for and would want to be living with them moving forward. Another item that we ask students is understanding how difficult is it to find housing and how difficult is it to find housing within a reasonable commute and affordability. So of those students who were looking for housing when they enrolled at the respective colleges, you can see the breakdown there. Again, unsurprising, the difficulty that students find in the market, both reported as well as backed by the vacancy rates from our initial market analysis that demonstrates that. And then again, within that kind of reasonable commute time as well. So as we think about the burdens and the challenges that students face and kind of that retention and success, we're always thinking about what are some of those challenges, which include finding housing and, of course, transportation and commuting time as well. We tested on the survey a couple of different housing options, and we also provided a comparison to what is available in the market. So effectively, this chart indicates that for those kind of single occupancy students, so those single students who are living on their own, they're able to find housing if they can find it. What they can find is generally lower than what we necessarily were tested on the survey. Largely a factor of construction costs in California and just the reality of what it takes to build student housing overall. You can see the breakdown of the survey tested rates there at the very bottom. in kind of 3 different categories, again, informed by most recent assumptions that we had at the time. The survey was launched in January, so these were December, January construction costs and other financing assumptions that went into those models to create the striation there. And then each breakdown respective to the units are, again, costly for building in California, of course. Looking at our family apartment units, again, these are students with families, the same sort of breakdown and approach. You're seeing what we found in the market per unit, and then what we found and what was tested initially on the survey. And of course, because cost and affordability are so critical and kind of driving decision-making factors for students, you can see in the next couple of slides when we talk about the total demand. So looking at what single students are for their respective unit type preferences, overwhelmingly, that semi-suite, which is kind of a Jack and Jill style 2 bedrooms with a shared bathroom, which is always going to be the least expensive option, was overwhelmingly the preferred unit type for your single students. And then your students with families, really a mix of unit types, which is reflective of the kind of diversity of what students who are coming to each college in terms of the needs that they have and who they're bringing with them overall. This outlines the demand by each of those rates. So if you think back a couple of slides where we had the 3 different rate categories, this is the total demand by each rate category. So unsurprisingly, at those really, really low rates that would be brought by SB 169 funding and state subsidy, we're looking at 1,000 to 1,100 beds of demand for single students and 1,100 to 1,200 beds of demand for students with families. So not insignificant by any stretch of the imagination, and really, again, speaks to the urgency of the need. And even seeing at some of those most expensive price points, kind of the pure, what is available to be constructed at this point, even some 100+ demand of housing for each respective population as well. So again, also to the kind of vacancy rate and the challenges in finding housing, that for those who can afford it, there is some level of interest. This shows by the demand by unit preference for Saddleback. So the first was IBC, this is Saddleback. So 1,200 to 1,300 at those lowest rates, 1,700 to 1,800 at the lowest rates for the students with families. And then you can see there again what that looks like at the highest rate, that overall demand. Really what next steps look like. We're continuing to work through financial modeling and assumptions at this point. We're updating those pro formas to make sure that we're using a South Orange Community College District inputs. So we've had some fantastic help from some of the folks, Anne Marie and Cindy, who've been really helping us get that key data points, and then really working through those programming and financial analyses to then come again and present to you all, as well as each of the college's respective advisory committees, the information and the findings that we have at this point. So with that, open up to any questions.
Are there any questions from Trustee Inman?
I have a couple of questions. The first one has to do with the relationship between declining enrollment and housing. Do we have a feeling that part of the reason that enrollment is declining is that they can't find affordable housing? I mean, it's a good guess, but I mean, do we know it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, so a couple of things. We ask on the survey whether or not students think it's important for the future for like recruitment and retention as kind of a speaking on behalf of their peers and what they know. Overwhelmingly, yes, they think it's important, but that's a bit of a data point and a nugget of perception. What we know is that housing is often one of many factors that students are considering when they're thinking about enrolling in a certain institution, and that with kind of COVID and all the other challenges that students are facing right now, just the additional barrier of having to find that, as we all know, can be kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. And so I think that we understand it to be one of the contributing factors, but it's very difficult to correlate exactly a one-to-one data point.
Okay, my second question has to do with location. Do we know on the campuses where these might be built?
Mm-hmm.
And how many units are we looking at? This may be July financial modeling questions, are they? Okay. But
Well,
then
we can talk a little bit about the site. Go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so the second part to your question, so yes, that might be a July. I think we're gonna get
Okay.
more into the specifics then. The first part, I would say yes, so Saddleback has a site designated and located, which we've already, I think we have a good idea where that's gonna be. Same thing with IVC. We met with the advisory committee as well on that, so we have a good idea of where those locations are gonna be.
And then the number of units that you're thinking, or is that not yet?
I would, I would say that's part of the
Okay.
July, yeah. I think
Okay.
Emery-
And then my last question is it possible for us to visit places that you have built or?
And so certainly where OCC, the Visit Coast, absolutely. I will note that Scion is not a developer, so not here in any way, shape, or form for building. And we actually currently manage OCC. We were not their advisor, and it was through a long extended relationship where they asked us to, separate from the developer, who as the developer who built it could have also managed it, but they asked Scion to step in and do that, but that's typically not our position either. We usually serve in this capacity. All of that to say, absolutely, be happy to have tours. I think Manhani and a couple folks have toured Coast, and they're always excited to show it off, and our team is always excited to have students kind of talk about that and what that experience is like and what the transformation is.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think what I've learned in the last year and a half going through this process or so is that each community college has very specific need. So while we can look at other places, I think it's a great idea, but they have specific needs that drove the design and the make of that. And so I think we are going to have our own needs as well.
Okay. I just know, for instance, there's a great deal of positive reaction in Irvine for some of the newer UCI housing, and I don't know if have no idea whether it's similar or what, but a lot of positive, newer ideas of way to do this, so. Okay, my last question is, if a student or a family moves in, but then the student, in either case, drops all their classes, what happens?
Absolutely. So at this point, that's really something that would be discussed and kind of adjudicated and determined, moving beyond the process. At this point, we're not even quite at that no-go yet, and so determining those nuances, but absolutely part of the conversations that could come after that go-no-go. I don't know if Manhani or Emery.
These are great questions that you're asking that are going to really drive the July, how we're going to be presenting in July and
Thank you.
better inform us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Trustee Whitwell, Trustee Jay?
Are these sites that you were just mentioning, are they on our property?
Yes.
Yeah, if I could just add, at Saddleback College, in the 2020 Facilities Master Plan that the board approved, we identified the potential area for student housing at Saddleback College, so it's really out in the parking lot where the villages are right now, the modular units, is where the student housing would be placed on Saddleback's campus. At Irvine Valley, we're still identifying that, but more than likely, it would be in the dirt area out by the baseball fields and the soccer fields. But that hasn't been completely finalized. It's just kind of what we're thinking right now.
Thank you. Okay, Trustee Whitwell?
Yes, on page 7, you talk about the respondents' rate. And is that low, 9.5% for IVC and 7% for Saddleback?
No, it was actually incredible response rate. We're always looking to be ideally within that 10% mark as a kind of overall representative population. And then in terms of the total margin of error for the number of students that received it, about 2.25 for IVC ATEP, and then 2.45, and we're always looking to be within a 5% plus or minus margin of error. So really great overall total response rate.
So did every student on both campuses receive that?
Yes, they would have received the opportunity to complete the survey, correct.
When I was reading this the other day, I wanted to know, did online students did you know if it was an online student or on-campus student when they responded?
Yes, we asked that breakdown. I believe I don't have that number readily available off the top of my head, but I believe we do have that breakdown.
Because that would be interesting to see the different responses with somebody online who, do they really need housing? Or
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. We talk about it a lot internally and kind of as a team. If in certain institutions, in certain situations, not necessarily for California or California community colleges, we really wouldn't look to online students. We'd kind of take them out of the conversation. But because what we know about challenges with commuting times, finding housing, et cetera, we take what students say, and if they say that they would, even if they're online, that housing makes sense for them, then we're going to incorporate that. We kind of discounted a little bit in the total process of calculating demand, but we want to make sure to recognize the kind of nuances of the context in which they are in. But it's a fantastic question.
yeah, 3 years ago, I would have said, yes, I agree that that's different. But with COVID, I think it's taught us a lot. So I don't know if there's a difference anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should remember that. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? No, so this is the first of 3 presentations you're going to be presenting to the board. So next month is the fiscal viability of student housing for our district, and that should be really key as well. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you all.
much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, the next item is 7.8.2, which is a tentative budget presentation and approval. So Vice Chancellor Gable, your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. And I have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Connie Kavanaugh, who is our Executive Director of Fiscal Services. So she will be going through the presentation for us tonight.
Thank you.
I think the mic's on. Forgive me, I'm getting over a cold, so if I choke halfway through, I'll do my best. Good evening, President Milchucker and trustees. I'm happy to be here tonight to talk about the tentative budget. This is a compilation that could not be achieved without all the hard work of the colleges under the leadership of David Kachatrian and Corey Wathan. I don't know, I know I'd mess up his, is the easiest one. And their teams. The lion's share of the budget does represent the college's budget, so I just really appreciate all the hard work everyone's put in. And of course, my team here in district services as well. So the agenda for tonight, we're going to talk about our board philosophy and budget guidelines. The tentative budget, we'll go over our assumptions and our basic aid allocation for the 22-23 year, our budget trends, and then sort of the next steps in our process. As you know, the tentative budget is our draft budget to get us started. We need to have that enacted prior to July 1st so that we can continue to operate as a district. So we're operating off of the governor's May revise when we develop the budget. That's the latest and greatest news. Of course, the timing is such that the state's working on a budget sort of simultaneously. So what's reflected in the tentative budget is, in fact, the governor's proposal or the parts of it that are relevant. And in our adopted budget that we'll see in August, we will incorporate the actual state budget enacted. They took action on June 13th to adopt a budget, but they're still working out the details between the governor and the legislature. So our board philosophy on the budget is we always want to ensure wise and prudent use of public resources, promote financial strength and stability, and of course to maximize educational opportunities for our students. The budget development guidelines were approved by the board back in January. And just some key points to point out is that, of course, we want to make sure we establish and maintain our reserve for economic uncertainties, that we develop the basic aid allocation and approve those projects, which we did in April. And of course, the retiree benefits is a big piece. We want to make sure we maintain that trust that we've established and that we are ensuring the future of those, the fiscal future of those benefits for our employees. So the tentative budget overview, I'm not going to go through every line here. It starts out at the top with our unrestricted general fund. That really represents the operating budget for the district. So we, at this point, are projecting a beginning balance. These are, of course, estimates because we have not yet closed our books. We have a projected beginning balance of just short of $87 million. We're anticipating revenue of $333 million. Expenditures of $341 million, which leaves us with a deficit, or we're spending more, we're utilizing some of that beginning balance of just under $8 million for an ending balance of $79 million. All of the funds are represented on this slide. One of the key funds I want to point out is the Capital Outlay Fund. That's where we really earmark and establish a lot of our basic aid projects. We transfer the funds over to that fund and account for them there. So we have planned expenditures of $481 million, but that really represents all of the projects. Some of those are committed and obligated for future buildings, so that's not truly what we intend to spend this year, but it represents the total budget for that fund. So for all funds, our beginning balance is $614 million, revenues $591 million, total expenditures of $971 million, with a deficit, so we're spending, again, some of that beginning balance of $380 million, and with the ending balance overall for the district of $234 million. Just an overview of the beginning balance and revenue, so sort of what we have available to spend within the budget. Again, our unrestricted general fund is represented between the beginning balance and the revenues anticipated. We have just shy of $420 million available to us. And as a district for all funds, we have $1.2 billion that's available for our expenditure this coming year. To break down the the expenditures a little bit, we have, again, for the unrestricted operating fund, our salaries and benefits are just short of $215 million. Our supplies and services, $27 million. Our cap outlay is pretty minimal in our general fund, so it's $845,000. Our payments to students and other uses, which is primarily the basic aid allocation, we transfer it from the general fund over to the capital outlay fund. That's just shy of $99 million. So our total expenditures unrestricted is $341 million. Again, one of the biggest funds other than the general fund is the cap outlay fund that I highlighted before. And we have budgeted the full amount that we have allocated for those projects within that fund of that $481 million. So our total expenditures district-wide for all funds is just shy of $971 million. As I mentioned earlier, our tentative budget is based on the governor's May revise. The final state budget will be incorporated into our adopted budget. As I mentioned earlier, the Senate Bill 154 was actually passed on June 13th by the legislature. They have a June 15th statutory deadline in order to continue to get paid. So they have met their obligation, and they're working out the details with the governor as we speak to line item some of those items and make sure that they come to agreement. And so future trailer bills will be passed by the legislature to actually detail some of those decisions. Our student-centered funding formula, we assumed a cost of living of 6.56, which we do know was approved by the state in their budget as well. What's interesting this year is on the student-centered funding formula, it wasn't just COLA, they addressed different components of the calculation. So they did additional increases to our base rate of 9.89% and the basic allocation rate increase of almost 15%. There was no additional growth funding other than that. So those increases are reflected in our tentative budget. And we are still maintaining a hold harmless from the state. They're funding us on our 2019-20 FTES. Some additional assumptions, we have property taxes. Based on our information from the county assessor's office, we have built in a 3.75% increase to our secured property taxes. We have budgeted for salary increases that we have negotiated so far, and also including step and column movement for our employees. The current PERS rate is 25.37%. STRS rate's 19.1. Our health and welfare benefits, we estimated a 5% increase. Since the development of the budget, we have received our actual renewal rates. We do anticipate a slight increase in our adopted budget of closer to 5.4%. COVID has had some impacts on the health insurance rates for all employers. And the unemployment insurance rate will actually be 0.5%. So that will be slightly higher at adopted budget. And our workers' comp is close. It was 1.25, so we were very close on that. So those new rates will be included in our adopted budget. We always make sure we have adequate reserves budgeted. We have met our 7.5% reserve for economic uncertainties, which is 15.9 million. Excuse me, and our 20% reserved for the unrealized tax collections. It's part of our basic aid allocation. Is 18.7 million. We have budgeted for EPA revenue, which is the Education Protection Act, of 2.5 million, and those expenses have been budgeted for our part-time faculty salaries and benefits. And we have incorporated our unrestricted lottery revenue of $4 million, which represents $163 per FTES. This looks a little funny this year. We had so many changes with our SCFF funding from where we were in April with those additional components with a higher COLA than we anticipated, as well as those additional augmentations that we talked about. So where we were in April for what we were projecting for our basic aid funds looks a little bit different than where we were when we were developing the tentative budget. So this just represents side by side the differences of where we were in April versus what's included in the tentative budget. I did include a little breakdown there of what the beginning balance is composed of, which is primarily the beginning balance that we're anticipating. We had some funds returned from basic aid projects that were not completed of just over $8 million. And then we have some carryover of unspent general fund expenditures. So our beginning balance was quite a bit higher than we anticipated it to be in April. But additionally, our SCFF revenue was much higher, which affects how much we receive towards the basic aid allocation because we back out the amount of the SCFF that's distributed to the colleges. So that did lower our receipts that we'll have for basic aid, but the beginning balance more than compensates for that. So there is actually a net amount available for allocation in excess of what we allocated of $4.3 million available. And that will carry forward to next year. Part of our basic aid allocation is always our long-term obligations and our fixed expenditures. Those long-term obligations include our commitments to our pension stabilization trust as well as our retiree benefits trust. We've budgeted $62 million for our capital projects that are in our facilities master plan. Our annual allotment for our ADA projects of $3 million. We budgeted $13.5 million for our scheduled maintenance and renovation projects. And our technology projects funded from basic aid this year are just under $18 million. So the total is the 107. Some budget trends we're looking at, obviously, as we've talked about ad nauseum, is the impact of the COVID pandemic on our district, including the drop in enrollment that's going to likely take many years for us to recover from. Our property tax increases, although we're seeing an increase, that increase has declined over the years. Back in 17-18, we were over 7% property tax increase. And for this year, we're projecting the 3.75. The assessor's office has indicated to us for the future it will likely be closer to 3.5%. So although market values have gone up quite a bit, we only, in the first year that properties turn over, we only get supplemental taxes. They don't hit our secured taxes until the future, and that's kind of starting to slow down. So we're getting more, which is great, but not as large of an increase as we've seen in the past. And district-wide, our personnel costs make up an average of 89.2% of our budget. That excludes our reserves and our basic aid funds, which is actually a decrease from last year. We were at 89.9% of our budget on salaries and benefits. I always like to point out the STRS and PERS rates. They have a big impact on the district. We're fortunate to have a pension stabilization trust that we've established to mitigate those costs for our colleges. But this just kind of shows the trend over the years. Just to highlight, back in 15-16, we were close to $10 to $11 million in those costs. And from 22-23 on, that cost is closer to $25 million. So we've more than doubled the cost for our employer contributions. The good news is in the future, they are scheduled to decline slightly because we're finally reaching a breaking point with PERS, and they're at least currently projecting to have some decline in those rates in the next 2 years. So our next steps, we're going to closely monitor the state budget and what the governor and the legislature are able to negotiate. We anticipate getting those details any day now, and that's what we will use to finalize our adopted budget that will be brought to the board in August. Some highlights of where we are, at least initially, with the differences between the governor's proposal and the May revise versus the legislature's action or proposals. They actually have proposed to increase and augment the SCFF funding even more so than the governor proposed. We'll be interested to see how that works out in regards to those augmentations. It will-
Connie, if I could chime
Sure,
in there.
of
They
course.
did just approve, they came to agreement.
Oh,
So
see.
on the SCFF base funding and basic allocation rate increases, it'll be 600 million, is what the agreed upon amount is. As far as the one-time discretionary block grant, it'll be 650 million. And then the deferred maintenance and energy efficiency projects is just under 841 million. So everything else that you see there will remain the same. Those were the big 3 items that were under negotiations, and they did just come to agreement on that within the last day.
So those are the items highlighted in red on the slide, but hot off the press is some new numbers we didn't have when we put this together. So we continue to see one-time funding that we'll be receiving and, working diligently to make sure we're expending those on one-time expenditures that can really help mostly re-engage our student populations and bring them back on campus. So our next steps, we're continuing to monitor our enrollment trends. We are evaluating, as I just mentioned, our one-time funds and making sure that we're addressing our needs during the pandemic. I don't know unless Anne Marie's heard differently, although there is a COVID focus on some of those one-time funds, that's not as restrictive as some of the things we've seen before. So it will provide us some additional opportunities, I think, to re-engage our students and still, mitigate the costs we have just from the COVID pandemic. My group is busily working on year-end closing already. Our year-end is June 30th, so July is frantic for us. So we will be closing the books and have those final revenues and expenditures that we can incorporate so that we have our true beginning balances for our adopted budget. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
I guess you said the student-centered funding formula, we're being held harmless until, we're still being held harmless? Because it looked like we're being held harmless until 2020. So what is
They're
it?
using the 1920 FTES.
Okay.
This, I believe, Anne Marie, unless you've heard differently, this is the last year of the hold harmless. Or is it 23, 24 is the last year?
So there's 2 different types of hold harmless. There's the ECA that they call the, oh geez, I'm losing it, education conditions allowance, or no, extenuating
Emergency
conditions.
conditional allowance.
Emergency conditions allowance, thank you.
Excellent.
And so what that one is, it's holding your FTES and funding you at your FTES of where you were in 2019, 2020.
I see. Okay.
So the emergency conditions allowances are continuing into 22, 23, but they've put a lot of stipulations around that if a district wants to continue and opt in to the ECA. So that's something that we're evaluating. Some of the things that it's requiring is that you have a board policy that your reserves will be at least 2 months of what your salary or your expenditures are. So that would be higher than what our current reserve is, which would require a change to our board policy. One of the other items that it would require is that we agree to and sign on to the California virtual, it's CVC OEI. So basically it's the online education, and it's the California virtual campus where a student can enroll at any online class for any college, and you have to agree to that. We haven't fully implemented that, so that would be something that we would have to do.
Right on.
And there's several other things. We would have to develop a plan that we would bring to the board within the next few months in order to opt into the emergency conditions allowance for the 22-23 year. That will be the last year for 22-23. As far as hold harmless within the student-centered funding formula is being continued through the 24-25 year. So basically what it's saying, and the language that will be in the budget, is that starting in 25-26, districts will have a floor of funding equal to the amount that they were funded in fiscal year 24-25.
Wow.
So hold harmless is kind of here to stay. It'll be calculated differently from what it is right now, but it will continue. Now, I will say that even in our tentative budget and what we have here, with the additional funds that they put into the SAFF model, the $375 million that was in the May revise, it took our district as a whole out of hold harmless. But we had, if you look at each of the colleges, Saddleback was out of hold harmless, Irvine Valley College was still in hold harmless, but as a district, we were out. I suspect and anticipate with this additional money, the $600 million, that's on top of the 375 that we have in here, that it'll bring IVC out of hold harmless as well. So I think from this point forward, we're more than likely will be out of hold harmless. The other thing that our tentative budget has is we expected the emergency conditions allowances to go away. So we have not built into our budget continuing those emergency conditions allowance. So our FTES that we budgeted in the tentative budget is the actual amount that we are serving at this point, and we're not using the higher 1920 number.
Okay, interesting.
Not in what we've done here. And so we'll look at it though, to see what we want to do on adopted budget, but that is something that Connie, DeVete, Corey, and I are kind of looking at to see what's going to be the most beneficial for the district. And could we meet all of those other stipulations in order to opt into the emergency conditions allowance?
Okay, interesting, thank you. And in addition, it's really exciting to have hot off the press, instant updates on what's going on with the state budget. So that was exciting. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? No, okay, so do we have a motion and a second for the adopted budget? This is the tentative budget.
Second.
What? Oh, Jim, okay, Jim makes the motion, and Carolyn makes a second, and we'll have a vote on the tentative budget. Of course, the final budget will come back in August, so thank you. Thanks so much, Vice Chancellor Gable. Okay, so it's unanimous that we approve of the federal year 22-23 tentative budget as presented, and it's with two absent, it's unanimously passed. Right now, we're going to the consent calendar. So do I have a motion and a second for the consent calendar, and then we could pull some items off?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so trustee Jay makes a motion and trustee Inman seconds it. Can we have vote on this then?
Is anyone pulling any items?
Is anyone pulling any items off of the consent calendar? No?
I don't.
No, nobody's pulling up. There's some interesting items on there, but I'm sure we've all read them, so go ahead. Okay, so we'll vote on the consent calendar, all of the items. Thank you. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, would anyone like to make a motion just in case, just end the meeting till 9:30? Okay, trustee Inman makes the motion,
I second.
and trustee White Riddell seconds it. And we'll vote on whether, extending the meeting till 9:30, and then that, we should be completely finished by that time.
Did you get your screen yet? Oh,
What?
there we go.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, this was passed unanimously with 2 trustees absent, so now we could move on, what? To item 10 point, the 10.0, Business Services General Action Agreement. There's a number of general action items. The first one being 10.1, it's an innovation and effectiveness grant agreement with the Santa Clara Community College District, and we're getting the grant from the Santa Clarita Community College District of $200,000. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Trustee makes the great. Trustee Wright seconds it. Are there any comments? This is a plan to offer professional, it's a seed plan to offer professional development for our staff, which is really good. So, can we have the vote on this? So therefore, it's kind of a seed program to help our staff grow. So it was approved 5-0 unanimously. And next, we have the award of revenue agreement in the bookstore operation for Saddleback and IVC with Follett Higher Education Group. So do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay, trustee Jay makes the motion, and trustee, is there a second? Trustee Inman seconds it. And they have to have a percentage of their sales to the colleges for scholarships and other donations. Okay, so are there any comments on this? No, so we'll vote on it now. Okay, this was passed unanimously with 2 trustees absent. 10.3 is an award of an agreement for the charter bus service at Saddleback College and IVC with the American Transportation Systems, or DBA, American Transport, for charter bus service for our colleges. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Trustee Jay makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Inman seconds it. Okay, can we vote on it now? The whole amount is 1.1 million. It hasn't come up yet. Devate, do you want to make, oh, there it goes. Okay, great. Thank you. So it's passed unanimously, 5-0. And the next one is 10.4, award of agreement for waste removal services at Saddleback College, IVC, and the Advanced Technology Education Park with CR&R. This one is 1.2 million. But we have to have waste removal services. It's for 1 year of services. So is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay, trustee Wright makes a motion.
I
and
second it.
It's a 5-year contract.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you. 5-year contract. So we can vote on it now? Yeah, I was looking at the wrong one. And there's a motion by trustee Wright, second by trustee Jay, and unanimously passed with 2 trustees being absent. And then the next one are a number of projects. Well, the Saddleback College Gateway Building Project, geotechnical investigation and materials testing and special inspection services with CEM Lab Corporation. So this is just for the Saddleback College Gateway Project. Is there a motion and a second?
I so move.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay, trustee Inman makes a motion and trustee Jay seconds it. It's an increase in the amount because of additional services they have to perform. Like testing the soil.
Trustee Milchiker, you're voting on 10.5 right now?
Oh, I thought we already,
Hazardous waste? Yes.
I thought we already, oh, I'm sorry, you're right, okay, thank you. 10.5 is the award of agreement for the hazardous waste removal services at Saddleback College, IVC, and ATEP with North State Environmental Incorporation. And this again is a 5-year contract, not to exceed $1,300,000. So is there a motion in a second now?
So moved.
Trustee Jay makes the motion and trustee, is that trustee Whit-Rydell seconds it, okay? So now we can vote on it. Thank you. And that was, once again, unanimous, 5-0, with trustee Jay making the motion, trustee Whit-Rydell seconding it. And then the next one is item 10.6, which is Saddleback College Gateway Building Project, geotechnical investigation and materials testing and special inspection services. And this is the one with the amendment number 1 by CEM Lab Corporation with their additional tasks they have to do. Is there a motion and a second? So moved. Trustee Wright makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Then trustee Jay seconds it. We're voting on it now?
There, it's there.
Oh, they're right there.
I know.
Yes, it's. But this doesn't work. Use your finger.
And this, once again, was surprisingly unanimous. It was 5-0, because we really need to do these additions to help complete the Gateway project for Saddleback College. And then the next one is item 10.7. We're adopting a resolution, number 2216, declaring the disposition of property owned in fee, and it's approximately 30.69 acres, exempt for surplus land for agency use. Somewhat complicated, but we need to do this. Okay, trustee Whit-Rydell makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Jay seconds it, and I guess we can vote on it. We need to, well, I could explain it, but it doesn't matter. Sure, everybody knows it.
It's a little bit slow, but I don't think you have to hit the button to get the screen to go.
Okay, passes 5-0, with trustee Whitwright making the motion, trustee Jay seconding it, and 5-0. Next, we're in the Human Resources Department, so
10.8.
10.8.
10.8, okay. 10.8 is the Learning Aligned Employment Program Participation Agreement for federal year 2022 to 2031 between California Student Aid Commission and SOCCCD. So, do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Trustee Jay makes the motion, trustee Inman seconds it. Are there any comments or questions? We could move forward on it? Okay, it passes unanimously for the board that's here, 5-0. Next, we're going to the Human Resources General Action Items, and 11.1, Academic Employee and Classified Administrative Personnel Actions. Trustee, Vice Chancellor Vizcachel, are there any changes on this?
There are no changes, thank you.
No changes, so we just need a motion and a second then. There's motion?
So moved.
Trustee Jay makes the motion, and trustee, who seconded it?
Trustee Inman.
Trustee Wright seconds it, so thank you. So now we can vote on it, okay? Because there are no changes. Okay, the next item is item 11.3, classified personnel actions. Are there any changes?
There are no changes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the one, I'd like to mention people that are retiring that worked over 30 years. And there's an employee, Teresa Camacho, the senior administrative assistant in student equity and special programs at Saddleback College, who's worked here for 38 years and 8 months. So we're happy for all her many years of service, and we're happy for many of you that's staying that aren't retiring yet. That's what we're really happy about, okay? So is there a motion and a second for this? Okay, trustee Inman makes a motion,
I second it.
and trustee Jay seconds it. Okay, now we get to vote on it. Okay, and, whoa, we might get
Trustee
finished by.
Milchiker?
Yes?
I am remiss. I missed a readout on 11.1.
Okay.
You have voted on it, but I do want to publicly state the readout
Okay.
that I should have made, which is the 3 contracts. An
Okay.
employment contract for Diana Lerner as a acting dean, Student Health Center at Saddleback College.
Okay,
Contract dates June 28th, 2022 through December 21st, 2022. Range 22, step 3, with a prorated contract of $90,156. Second position is for interim vice president for instruction. We will be extending her contract for just a month or so. Dr. Irene Malgrim, July 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2022. Range 25, step 8, annual salary $137,892. That is prorated at 50% contract. And then the final contract is for the brand-new Vice President of Instruction at Irvine Valley College, Dr. Rick Miranda, and his contract terms, July 11th, 2022 through June 30, 2024, range 25, step 7, annual salary $262,656. Thank you and sorry.
okay, thank you, no problem, okay, we got it now, so now we heard it. So the next item, it was passed unanimously, 5-0. And now we're moving to the Faculty Association tentative agreements for Articles, tentative agreements for Articles 15 and 17.
Trustee Milchiker, may I just make a quick comment on this item?
Yes, of course.
A tremendous credit goes to the Faculty Association for coming to the table and creating with the district very meaningful and effective language surrounding student surveys and faculty evaluations and a peer evaluation component. Melanie Hayeri was at the table, so she has firsthand knowledge of this negotiation. Louis Long was the president at the time, and Claire Cesario was the chief negotiator. Almost all of the credit for this negotiation goes to the Faculty Association for helping the district create meaningful, long-term language that will have an impact going forward. So I want to thank and acknowledge their work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, we have wonderful staff here. We have great staff. We're really happy with them. So, including you, okay? So is there a motion and a second for this? 'Cause- Oh, we do, okay. Okay, so we have to vote on it now. Once again, it's unanimous. We're all happy with the agreement you came to. And it's 5 trustees voted yes, and 2 trustees were not present to vote. So next, we're going to item 11.5, which is initial proposal on mutually agreed reopener between this district and the Faculty Association, Article 30. Do you
May I
need to
make
speak
one
on this?
comment on this?
Yes, of course.
I want to be clear, we will be reopening with all units, CSEA and POA. Tonight, we have Faculty Association. It was an error out of my office not to include POA and CSEA, but they will be included next month, and I've talked to both of those union presidents and apologize for the error, but we will be negotiating an initial proposal for all units related to actual COLA.
Okay, excellent, wonderful, good. Good, we're trying, work together well, I know, so thank you. And I. I don't think we're doing that one right now.
Did we vote on that? Oh, it's just information. Okay, yeah, 11.6, we're taking out.
That's what I thought.
Removing.
We're not discussing it with it right now.
Okay, yes.
And then our really final item that we vote on is item 12.1, which is the Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College Community Education for fall 2022. And we're approving their courses, presenters, and composition detailed in the exhibit that are inside the item. So do I have a motion and a second? Okay, trustee Inman makes the motion and.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wright makes a second, and now we can vote on it. These will be for a fall semester. For community education only. The general catalog is out already in the class schedule. And then the next ones are just information items. I'll just read the titles of them because those are the items we voted on.
Trustee Jay, you have to vote on the item.
Thank you. And the rest of the items after this, this is approved 5-0 unanimously by the board again. These would be the community education courses, of course. And then the next are just information items. So they're just, you could read them in the agenda. They're staff reports to the public comments from the previous board meeting, list of board requested reports, CCCT student trustee member election, monthly financial status report, HERF, the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, the monthly summary, the retiree or OPEB trust fund, which we do great on, the facilities plan status report. And then there were, of course, written reports from the chancellor and the 2 college presidents. But I'll ask if any of these people that are in the administration would be interested in making additional comments. So Chancellor Burke, would you like to make any additional comments?
So yes, I would just congratulate the board on their selection of Dr. Juliana Barnes and welcome her to the district and wish her all the best. And to everyone else, happy summer.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you. And then Irvine Valley College President, John Hernandez.
Thank you, Board President Milchiker. I realize after submitting a 9-page Board President report, I may not be eligible to provide an update, but I do have 2 items. The first is that we are thrilled to be launching the IVC website redesign on July 5th. So
great.
that's coming up shortly. It will look and feel very differently with a student-centered approach that
Great.
was built on a guided pathways or through a guided pathways lens. I do want to thank the Guided Pathways Work Group as well as all of the governance groups for their input and support. I understand the level of engagement, participation was the highest that we've seen in quite some time for a project of this sort. In addition to that, we will be unveiling a concept 3D campus map, which will also be launched concurrently with the website redesign, which I think will be very helpful for students and for visitors. And then additionally, we are updating our virtual campus tour, which was something that was so useful during the pandemic when students were not, and guests and prospective students were unable to attend or come to the campus in person. So that will be updated and launched in a couple weeks, because one of the things we've learned is that often students prefer in person, but the virtual tour is also something important. And then lastly, I just received an update from Dr. Rudman to let me know that the Psi Beta National Organization, as many of you know, it is the National Honor Society for Psychology students at two-year colleges, just released the following information, and we are so thrilled that the Psi Beta chapter at Irvine Valley College received several awards, including the Chapter Excellence Award, Emerging Researcher Award. There were 7 students recognized. He indicates that no chapter has ever produced this many Emerging Research Award winners. The Chapter Community Service Award, and then 2 of our students are scholarship recipients of the Ann Anastasi Mission Scholarship. So I want to congratulate all the faculty mentors and advisors for Psi Beta. Thank you. That concludes my report.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Great. Thank you. And then President Stern, do you have a report in addition to your written report, which is, they're both excellent, all 3 of them were excellent?
Thank you so much, President Milchiker. I'm honored to perhaps be the last person to share some thoughts with Trustee Wright tonight. And these will be apropos, I think, of Trustee Inman's invocation about impact versus input. You, sir, have had a great impact on the college in which we are meeting tonight. And I want you to know that one of my great pleasures throughout my 3.5 tenure thus far has been to be out in the community wearing Saddleback swag and starting conversations as a result with former students. And one of my first experiences in my first few weeks in this job was out at a Trader Joe's and started a conversation with a cashier who had done his first 2 years here and was then at UCI in an engineering program after successfully transferring. And he spoke of how important it was that he got his start at Saddleback and how the rigor of the math classes and the science classes prepared him for his engineering program at UCI, and how grateful he was to have great faculty who were obviously inspired themselves and supported themselves by a great dean. So you, sir, in your 14 years of tenure as a dean at this college, had great impact. And that I hope you will take with you as a legacy, because that's the legacy that we all hope to have for impact that ultimately gives rise to reputation and makes our students better. So thank you, Trustee Wright.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll miss you. And next, Vice Chancellor of Business Services, Anne Marie Gable. Do you have?
No report.
And then Vice Chancellor of Education, Technology, and Services, Chris McDonald. Do you?
Normally, I'd say no report, but I can't let Trustee Wright leave without saying a few remarks.
You're good friends, I know.
I'm a little choked up because Trustee Wright knows that I owe a lot to him. How we met, I was at a job fair and I worked at Mount Sac, and I was there to try to hire Mount Sac faculty. Happened to walk by a table and Trustee Wright was there. And we had a conversation, and he was there because he was trying to find a replacement for him as the Dean of Math Science Engineering. We struck up a conversation. I wasn't really looking for a job, and he talked about how wonderful this district was, and he talked about the faculty, and he spent so much time talking about the people. And he encouraged me to apply. I probably wouldn't have applied. I had no interest in applying. But from that day forward, he has served as a mentor. I have been proud to follow him, to walk in his footsteps, and I hope someday to have the kind of career that he's had and to leave the kind of legacy on this institution that he has left. Thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate you.
Last few comments are just beautiful. The last few comments are beautiful, so thank you. And the next, Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, Cindy Viscacho.
I think we should end on those kind words. I have no report.
Yeah, they were beautiful words. So right now, we'll miss you, but keep in touch, okay? Right now, tonight's meeting will be adjourned in honor of former Irvine Valley College student Dan Del Arroyo, who was adoringly known to the IVC community as the comeback kid. Dan died unexpectedly on June 9th, 2022. He is survived by his two sons, Angel and Daniel Jr. U.S. Army veteran Dan Del Arroyo was known on campus as an older student who really seemed to know his stuff when it came to technology. Dealing with the overwhelming personnel and financial aftermath of an untimely layoff, Dan turned to IVC to earn an IT certificate to help in gaining new employment. His challenges ultimately turned into triumph, and he successfully secured a job at Allergan. He credited his new start to his experience at IVC and his belief in the power of education. Dan embodied the possibility that our colleges offer students from every walk of life. With heavy hearts, the SOCCCD community mourns the loss of Dan Del Arroyo and extends condolences to his family, friends, and all who knew and loved him. So thank you and good night.